Hello everyone. Welcome to today's first half 2023 release update for SAP SuccessFactors. This is part of AKT's Insight series, where AKT has been an SAP Gold partner for an outstanding 14 years. My name is Evgenia Andoniou, and I'm honored to facilitate the webinar today. We are so excited to have you all here. All attendees are on listen-only mode. On your panel, you're able to ask questions via the text box, or alternatively, you can email us at info@aktglobal.com. Before I introduce our panelists, let me first introduce AKT to those who are first-time joiners. AKT is one of the largest SAP Cloud and Qualtrics people experience consultancies in the EMEA region, with more than 250 consultants across several countries, including France, UK, Czech Republic, Israel, South Africa, Switzerland, and Germany. We offer strategy and advisory and best-in-class systems implementation programs. And apropos to today's release management webinar, AKT has one of the broadest offerings of application management services and support to help you both sustain and optimize your SuccessFactors system. Our domain of expertise extends throughout the SAP ecosystem, including SuccessFactors, SAP Sales Cloud, SAP Customer Experience and CRM, Qualtrics, and SuccessFactors Workzone. Thank you all for trusting AKT to present the SAP half-year release updates. Let me now introduce our presenters for today. We will have Arka, Annie, Evangelia, Jessica, Anna, and Sharon, who will take us through today's agenda, which covers the highlights of this release for the presented modules in the SuccessFactors Suite. We are also going to be sharing the concept of what we refer to as quick wins, denoted by this thumbs up icon. We have been seeing that organizations are still finding it quite challenging to often meet their daily operational requirements. So we understand the additional effort it may take to ensure that your organization adopts the latest system innovations. This is why in this webinar, we're going to highlight quick wins, things that you will be able to implement quickly and with minimal effort. Allow me to remind you that these new features are already available for you in your preview instances as of April 28th and will be in your production within the next week on June 2nd. One last thing, in case you have missed it, even the What's New viewer page is getting improved. So SAP has now released a detailed guide on how to navigate the release updates. The guide is called Discovering SuccessFactors Changes Within What's New Viewer, and we are posting the link in the chat right now. Here you can find details on how to filter and prioritize the enhancements you want to review based on the modules you're interested in, the time you can spend, and so forth. For example, you can filter What's New Viewer table based on the action, which describes the action needed so you can maintain your current business and avoid disruption. Or you can filter based on the enablement, which describes the effort you must make to configure the features or enhancements, whether they will apply automatically, so no effort needed, or if you need to perform specific steps, or if you need to contact AKT as your SAP partner. And with this, let's move on to today's first highlight on platform and Arka.
Hello everybody. My name is Arka Banerjee and I am the solution architect for platform module. Today, let's focus on some of the new interesting features of the 1H 2023 release. One of the most important release for 1H 2023 is the horizontal visual theme. The horizontal visual theme is now applied automatically for all new customers. This is a pure visual change and there is no impact on any functionality or data. With this new theme, you will get to see new visual treatment such as rounded corners and drop shadows, new typography such as font size and font weight, new set of icons, updated color palette with higher contrast, better spacing such as margin and paddings. The Horizon visual theme is the latest design standard for all SAP application and SAP SuccessFactors is adapting it to deliver a user experience that's modern, engaging, and consistent. Please note that you will still have the option to disable the new visual theme. However, we will suggest to start transitioning to the new visual theme on your test environment and prepare to move this to your production environment. Customizable quick action. We have got a new enhancement where now we can customize the quick action on our new homepage. You can now create up to 5 quick custom action with the design pattern very similar to the standard quick action. You can now easily change the display order of the standard and custom quick actions. This allows you to showcase content that are important for your organization and display them at the beginning of the page. As you can see from the image below, a custom quick action card termed example is appearing at the beginning of the quick action section. You can simply add some text and some standard icon from the SAP icon library as well. Controlling the homepage card. As you are aware, homepage cards are one of the most used features of SuccessFactors. They are generated dynamically for every user based on your system configuration and your business process. However, earlier, there were no way to disable certain homepage which were irrelevant for your specific organization. With this new release, SuccessFactors has introduced a new setting where it allows you to disable as well as delete homepage card so that they are removed from the homepage for all users. A few examples such as goal, time for break, finish your profile, review your performance can be easily disabled and deleted as well from the system. Epistings from the quick card. This feature will enable user to start chats where they are without having to switch to Microsoft Teams first. This new addition allows user to easily start a Microsoft Teams chat right away from your employee's quick card or from the profile header in SuccessFactors. Once clicking on the chat link, the chat window will be opened in your Teams desktop app or in the browser, provided you do not have the application installed in your system. To utilize this feature, an integration needs to be set up between your SuccessFactors environment and the Microsoft Teams. User can now start Microsoft Teams chat from the mobile app as well. Like the web version, user can click on the people profile header in the iOS as well as the Android mobile application as well. Redirect page after session timeout. With the addition of this feature, once the session expires, it is now possible to redirect user to a certain specific page. As we know, the session expires after a certain period of inactivity or if somebody closes the browser without logging out. In such case scenarios, next time when the user logins, they are redirected automatically to the last visited page or the personal start page based on the configuration of the system. Updated design pages. With this new release, SAP has updated the static page design with updated branding and very simplified page. Now, if you have a failed login, then you will easily identify the reason of failed logins, unlike the previous cases where the default static HTML pages had older design, outdated branding, and longer generic message. As you can see, this slide has a new updated design with a logout notice. This slide has a note saying the session has timed out. Here you can see the system shows the failed login page and the reason being listed as invalid login with a proper explanation down below. Here again, a failed login, but now the error says missing credential. Here we have another failed login page, but with a note that the user who is trying to log in do not have a valid manager. That's all about the major new features related to platform. Thanks for your time. Let's move on with our next speaker.
Hello everyone, my name is Ani. I am a solution architect and today we will review together some of the major highlights for Employee Central. In general, this release has a clear shout out for EC customers, data quality. Many enhancements and newly introduced features work in this direction. Centralized services, admin alerts on HR data issues, hire date corrections, everything leads back to ensuring data quality and consistency with the lower possible effort. So let's start with the Employee Central module and centralized services functionality, which keeps being updated. So here I am sharing a summary of the main major enhancements. When this functionality is enabled, do remember that in some cases, this is done automatically. As of this release, some processes are streamlined to improve data consistency and ensure, for example, that position hierarchy is correctly updated. Moreover, when changes are made through take action, change job and compensation info menu, which means manager self-service UI, due to centralized services functionality, we now have improved warnings and error messages on save, record maintenance when it comes to end-dated payments, information regarding the source of the person who last updated the record, even if that was done as part of a business process or other centralized services related process, data validation, and so forth. In addition to the above, a validation on the business key of the data entered on work permit will now universally apply and there is no configuration switch to monitor that. Various minor changes also apply when it comes to visualization and design. These mainly relates to text changes on labels, error messages, etc. Iconography improvements like for example, avatars now being circular and not rectangular. Interaction pattern where primary buttons are moved before secondary ones on the workflow window. Styling enhancements like for example, adding in dashes on the workflow details page for the fields with no value instead of only showing labels. In order to simplify HR admin tasks, SAP enhances the operation type of importing data to clearly define which type should be used for when. In other words, when preparing an import template to delete or delimit employee data with an incremental load, we now have the presented table indicating the operation type that must be entered for each HRIS element. An error will also pop up when trying to import a file using the wrong operation type. With this data retention enhancement, Data are kept consistent and aligned without creating gaps. When a person information purge is run under DRTM functionality, the system checks employee valid data on the run date and purges records accordingly. Previously, based on the employee past employment effective and non-effective dated records would have been deleted even if employee had a rehire record pending for the future. As of this release, only the records that relate to the past employment will be purged. At this point, let me also share another DRTM related update which refers to the purge of hire drafts. Using this feature, you can now create a purge request for all hire drafts, defining the retention period per country, legal entity, and so forth. Please note, this feature needs customer to perform configuration steps. We have seen SuccessFactors setting a goal to simplify business rule creation and update. Within this mindset comes with enhancement of restricting specific fields from the then section of the rule which sync job info and position data. Fields like higher level position, incumbent and others are no longer available on the create or edit rule screen. In alignment to the above, when it comes to the creation of a new rule, nodes are added indicating recommended elements and more rule scenarios have been added such as contingent workforce manager and employee central core. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Evangelia Panayotou and I'm the lead consultant for time management. So let's review together some of the major highlights in time and attendance management for this new release. A fancy new feature has been introduced to make the user interaction more attractive and informative. A new button has been introduced in the time of employee self-service user interface with the name information. When this is clicked, it displays a pop-up screen with preloaded information based on your needs. You can use this area to display useful information on people's available time absences and their purpose, region-specific policies and regulations, or enhance it with hyperlinks which will redirect them to company-related sites. Images can also be added to the text from the server. If you watched last release enhancement webinar, you might remember a significant improvement which would automate the way the time account balances associated with a particular absence type would get recalculated according to the defined posting order of the assigned time account type. This feature started as an early adoption, so not many customers had the chance to actually test it or implement it. With this release, this feature becomes universally available, so all of you can now enjoy this new enhancement. In order to activate it, just remember to do this from Manage Data, Time Management Configuration, and enable Absence Reallocation setting. Next, we have an incredibly useful and exciting new feature released, although this is still in early adoption. We finally get to generate documents based on time management data in a document format. We can use templates to generate a statement to view the leaves availed by an employee, for example, sick leave, maternity leave, and so on. In summary, with the new time form generation, we can create new templates in our desired format or edit existing ones, generate forms on different languages, get forms by pulling data from the system on a desired date range, or download forms in PDF and Word format upon employee request. In order to activate and test this, please follow the instructions mentioned in the relevant customer community link and make the relevant adjustments in role-based permissions. Another exciting new feature, which was released as an early adoption, is now available for all customers to enjoy and take advantage. This is no other than the capability to make effective data changes to the time profile object, such as adding or removing time types on certain dates without having to create new time profiles. This will subsequently save us from all the trouble we had in the past when we had to create new effective data changes on employees' job information records instead. To enable this feature, you have to execute the relevant update from your upgrade center, called Upgrade Time Profile Object to Effective Dated. A new tab is now introduced in the Employee Time of Workbench screen called Planned Working Time, which can be used to display a history of which work schedules have been assigned to a given employee over a specified period. This new user interface is an opt-out function, meaning that you get to see it automatically in your screens, but then choose to remove it if this is not needed. With the new Planned Working Time tab, we can download the employee's working schedule patterns in an Excel format, view regular and temporary work schedules assigned on an employee on the same page, create new temporary time information for employees, roll an employee's planned working time using a combination of regular and temporary work schedules for a specified time period. This is extremely useful if you have temporary time imported from a shift planning tool. We can easily make inline edits or changes and display partial holidays as described in the enhancement of partial holidays new feature. Another new feature introduced is the holiday category. This was partially introduced since last release and is now replacing completely the original holiday class field. Holiday class is switched to being non-editable from now on, so we now need to enter the value for holiday category rather than holiday class when establishing a holiday assignment. A new data object called Holiday Scheduled Working Time Determination is also being introduced, which allows you to specify how a holiday affects the scheduled working time. Based on the values in the holiday category field, the system automatically fills the holiday class field in the holiday calendar. To use this feature, you need to grant the relevant permissions, the holiday plan working time determination and the holiday plan working time specification. Moving on now with time tracking, we now have the introduction of minimum break duration time, which this can engage the employee to comply to more realistic and safe breaks, especially if these are governed by region-specific laws and policies. In such cases, employees will not be able to apply multiple mini breaks, but they would rather have to go on a longer, more effective break for their safety and well-being. Additionally, we now have the capability of applying rest rules. With rest rules, the company can ensure that employees take sufficient rest between their shifts. This can also be controlled by the system admin, who can confirm whether an employee has had enough rest in between shifts by using this feature. In case an employee tries to violate these rest rules by clocking in again after a resting time less than the regulated one, an alert will be generated on admin alert screen, used by the system admin to review and take action upon. On another note, we can now build reports for the time events produced by a clock-in, clock-out system. If an employee uses clock time and has manually or through a terminal logged their time event, we can access the specifics of that time event. The period of time for which reports are generated can be daily, weekly, monthly, and so on. Only the employees who have been allocated to supervisors and administrators can read the reports. When generating reports, you can also add other tables like those for user information, job information, and so on. The fields that are pertinent to time events can be displayed in this way, including the employee's name, manager, location, and other information. Another important enhancement around holidays, which can be used for time tracking specifically, is now introduced. This has to do with the holiday work pattern and how it allows you to group employees based on their work pattern on public holidays. More specifically, we can now set a public holiday to work as a day off, as it is by default, or we can set it as being a normal working day for employees, even if this is set as public holiday as well. This feature is mostly useful for blue-collar workers or other employees who typically work in a 24/7 environment. Holiday work pattern is assigned on employee's job information record if it needs to be used. Otherwise, the default behavior will prevail. Another significant enhancement comes for partial holidays for both clock time and duration-based recorders. By default, the planned working time on a half-day holiday is reduced to 50%. However, you can now get even more flexible with how a partial holiday can be defined for an employee. This configuration can be achieved by adjusting day model variants and variance assignments on work schedule day models. In order to be able to use this feature, you first need to add the relevant permissions from time management object permissions, which are work schedule day model variant identifier and work schedule day model variant assignments. Last but not least for this webinar is the introduction of the capability of automatically submitting timesheets for overtime recorders when certain conditions are met. At the moment, those who record overtime must manually submit their timesheets. As the employees might forget to submit their timesheets, we can now create timesheet submission rules to submit timesheets automatically based on the criteria we provide. That's all for this very rich new SAP release for time management. Moving on now with Jessica and the new features of recruiting and recruiting marketing module. Thank you.
Thank you, Evangelia. I'm Jessica Boyko, the solution lead for the module of recruiting and onboarding at AKT. And I'm very happy to be here and to show you some of the highlights for the recruiting module that are coming in this release. Let's start from the first one. So we are going to see in this release enhancements that were done to redesign some pages or the way that we work, and also I will discuss with you later about some visual enhancements that were done in the system. So let's start with the enhancements to redesign the applicant management tool. From the list of applicants, you can now perform some new actions that were not existing before, or the way that they are done are changed. So for example, change statuses with a move button. We know that the most frequently performed action in the applicant list is to move a candidate or more than one candidate from one status to other. So a new button was added, the move button. It will be located on the top right corner of the list of the candidates, of the applicants, and will allow you to open a screen for the moving the applicants. I will show you in the next slide a little bit more about how it will work. We also are going to have like a new option, which is the add comment, where you will be able to add a comment for one or more applicants at once. We also are going to find some new available filters for the applicants based on some columns that we already have. So for example, to filter by the rating that displays the score linked to the screening questions, or also to filter by the forwarded from requisition. So it displays the ID of the job requisition from where the applicant was forwarded. So when you you forward a candidate from one requisition to the other, now you will be able also to filter by this information based on the ID of the job requisition. As I mentioned before, we have this new enhancement, which is the move screen. Okay, so in SuccessFactors, basically, as you can see in the screen, when you select a candidate that you want to move to a different step, you're going to have this new screen open. And here you will be able to select to which status you want to move the candidate. But you're also going to see, as you can see on the screen, that you will have the list of the candidates based on the selected candidates that you have selected. You are going to have here, if they are eligible to move, you have one tab. And if they are not eligible to move, you will have another tab. Of course, you will continue to have the option to add comments when you're moving a candidate from one step to other. This option is still available here. Some minor visual changes. I'm sharing one in the screen, for example, how in the job requisition, the part of the questions, it's improved, how it looked before and how it's going to look now. But we need to take in consideration that from this release, once you will log in, some of the visuality of the system, how it's displayed, the look and feel of the system will change, okay? As SuccessFactors has done various minor visual enhancements in this release, okay? So you're going to find some, basically the changes are divided in 4 types: text changes, iconography, iteration pattern like new position of iterations, new order of list, new or change buttons. So that's what I mean by iteration patterns, or the styling, the layout, spacing, and other things. So it will be all over the system. Also in the recruiting, there will be some places that we are going to notice this improvement on the visual side of the system. The next one that I would like to discuss with you are enhancements to Quick Apply. So a candidate with an existing account applying for a job requisition or job posting that has been defined as Quick Apply now will have the option to accept or reject the updated data privacy consent statement. A pop-up will be displayed if any recent change were made to the DPCS statement. So we know that today, when we are using not the Quick Apply, and a candidate is coming back to the RMK, to the career portal in order and logging into the portal, and we know that, and the data privacy was updated priorly to his login, we know that the system will display to him the new data privacy to be accepted or to decline, and for them to read it. It was not supported in the Quick Apply, and now we have this updated also for the Quick Apply. We also have, as part of this release, the SuccessFactors recruiting integration with the Talent Intelligence Hub. Okay, so some introduction about what is it. So SAP have introduced a picker that allows people of an organization to choose different types of attributes from Talent Intelligence Hub. The picker supports competencies, skills, or any custom attribute created by the administrator of an organization. These attributes are available in a centrally defined place known as the Attributes Library. The picker allows people of the organization to search and pick the required attributes from the Attributes Library. Multiple modules across SAP SuccessFactors Suite are adopting the picker. Now, where we are going to see it in the recruiting. So in the recruiting, you can integrate the Talent Intelligence Hub to use the attributes such as competencies and skill defined in the Talent Intelligence Hub. And as part of this integration, you can fetch competencies and skills from the Talent Intelligence Hub and add them to the job requisition. Additionally, on instance integrated with the job profile builder, it's now possible to add skills to a job requisition without using a job profile and directly from the Talent Intelligence Hub. The integration will enable you to access attributes in recruiting through a centralized framework. We have also some, as part of this release, some new validations on the job posting page. Okay, so in the current version, validations for missing field values in a job requisitions are triggered before you post a job from the job posting page. We know that in the past, when we were using, for example, some fields as filters in the job requisition, and those fields were not filled in the job requisition priorly to the posting, so we were experiencing some issues that the post will not be shown in the career site builder. This enhancement will come and will improve the experience, so you will not be able to post if if something it's needed for the posting itself, if it's mandatory for the posting, which is a great one, and again, improving the experience of the recruiter in this case. The next one, which is, again, we are about all these release, it seems that it is a lot about improving the experience of recruiters and stakeholders working with the system. And I think that also this one comes to help. And it's basically the type head support for single level pick list fields in recruiting. What it means that the standard and custom pick list fields on the job application portlets now support the type ahead feature, where selecting the text box displayed availability pick list values. The type ahead is supported only for fields whose type is defined as pick list in the job application template and has a pick list ID in the pick list center. Type ahead is now also supported for the following job application portlets: the application portlets, the background field portlets like the formal education, previous employment, work experience, the ones that we know that normally we have in the job application, and the more information portlets. The type ahead feature will simplify the process of searching for a pick list value. Something that I would say that from my side, I have received this comment many times from different clients, why I cannot start typing something and the system will reduce the pick list for me to be able to select the correct one without needing to go over all the list. I think that for this release, those are the highlights that I wanted to bring to you. We will continue to the onboarding highlights release with Anand, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Jessica. My name is Anand. I'm an onboarding technical and functional lead. Today, we will review together some of the key highlights in onboarding for this new release. Let's start. In this release, the cards in the Know Your Key People section of a new hire's onboarding journey now identify the manager and the body underneath the person's name. Whereas in the previous version, this section did not identify the manager or the body underneath the person's name. Basically, this enhancement distinguishes the manager and the body on this section. On moving to the next highlight, you can now configure the task due date. In this release, the start date and the due date are decoupled. You can now specify the number of days before the start date by when the assigned task must be completed by new hire. Previously, all the tasks were due on the start date of the new hire and were not configurable. On moving to the next, you can now sync Employee Central changes to an employee's start date and hiring manager with the new hires information in onboarding. Changes to the hiring manager or start date that are made in Employee Central using the Manage Pending Hires tool or the Hire Date Correction tool, and which are made after the Manage Pending Hires step is completed, show up in onboarding dashboard and on the homepage cards. These changes appear after the new hire is converted to an employee and after hiring is completed in Manage Pending Hire. This new feature makes it easier for the hiring manager to track new hire to-do tasks and ensure that the new hiring manager receives tasks, reminder, and notifications when there is a hiring manager change. On moving to the next, finally, with the configurable new hire feature, you can now create hire templates with the blocks needed for the type of employment you are hiring for in onboarding. You can also configure the templates with business rules scenarios. You can either use onboarding new hire or onboarding manager from the template type drop-down list while creating the hire template for onboarding. While creating the hire template, you can add, remove, and rearrange the order of the blocks as well as add standard and custom MDF objects to the configuration. Once the hire template is configured based on the rule, the right template can be selected in the onboarding hiring activities like new hire data review, personal data collection, and access new hire data. It enables you to have only those blocks that are needed for your business process, as well as it allows for you of custom MDF objects which were previously not accessible in onboarding. The benefit of this feature is now you can move custom MDF informations captured by new hires during onboarding step to EC, and same reflect on the people profile page. On moving to the next, you can now configure business rule to trigger email notification to onboarding participants. This rule can be configured for onboarding processes such as new hire, rehire data review tasks, manage pending hires, personal data collection, and custom data collection. This enhancement provides a method to trigger emails for onboarding process steps that are not supported by pre-configured email notifications. In this current version, the new rule function trigger email notification for onboarding processes is available when you choose the execute action to define the then statement of a business rule. In the previous version, it was not possible to use business rules to trigger email notification. Moving to next, in this release, the Help Us to Know You Better card on the latest homepage is dynamic and only displays tasks that are applicable as per the process variant manager configuration for the new hire. For example, in the given picture, only personal data collection and document flows are configured as per the process variant manager. Hence, only corresponding tasks are displayed on the card. In the earlier version, the Help Us to Know You Better card on the latest homepage was static and displayed all three tasks: personal data collection, additional data collection, and document flow by default. On moving to the next, now you can download documents uploaded as part of additional data collection from the onboarding dashboard. In the previous version, documents uploaded as part of additional data collection were not visible in the onboarding dashboard. Only documents generated through onboarding and compliance documents workflow were visible. On moving to next, you can now create a custom card on the latest homepage that enables new hires to complete their profile details. If you don't create the custom card, you can still use the start completing your profile to do in the side panel. The custom card appears directly on the organizational update section of the new hires homepage, making it easier to find. In the current version, administrators can now create a custom card that contains a deep link to the start completing your profile. New hires can now access the start completing your profile custom card on the homepage. In the previous version, new hire could only access their start completing your profile tasks from the to-do menu on the homepage. So that's all from my side. Moving on now with Sharon, a new feature of People Analytics. Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Sharon and we will review together the People Analytics updates. I am very happy to announce the release of Optimization View Mode. This excitement is shared with SAP as those optimization have been available in all tenant, test, preview, and production since April 24th. Optimization View Mode has updates that will improve the experience of the viewer of the reports. On the top image, we'll see the story filter will be assembled as See More in a noticeable drop-down menu. As some of you may know, currently the filter navigation is a tiny blue arrow on the opposite side. So this feature will definitely help the viewer better navigate those filters. Tooltip have been moved closer to the cursor to ease access with extra action on the right-click menu. At the bottom right, we see a new undo and redo functionality that will encourage viewer to play around with different features of the report, as they can now reverse or restore their action. When loading a report, you might have felt like staring at a blank page. Many customers didn't understand if this white screen was due to cookie settings or just a long loading time. As you can see on the bottom left image, with the ghost loading indicator, you can now better understand what you are waiting for. As mentioned, the performance issues have impacted many of our customers. So another exciting release is the new default feature, Active Viewpoint Rendering. Our customers use different browsers or screen resolution, which means they each see the dashboard differently. Active Viewport Rendering will process only the objects that are visible on the screen and pause the processing of objects outside of it until they are brought within the view. This also means that if you are using linked analysis, it will only be processed on the visible object, even if it's applied on all the reports. This optimization will help reduce the loading time experienced. Finally, SAP has also announced a performance improvement addressing client-side connection issues, but not server-side or network problems. Let's move on to the most important part of the optimization view mode. Some of you are familiar with the Explorer mode here on the bottom left, which allows the viewer to build different graphs to add them to the story. Explorer mode is not supported in the optimized view mode, and it is replaced by the data analyzer. On the top left, we'll see how you can access it. And on the right, you see how the data analyzer offers a view of the chart as a pivot table, to which you can add measure, dimensions, or filters. You can then export this pivot table to CSV, Excel, or PDF. Beware that not all reports can support this optimization. We saw the example of the Explorer mode not being supported. Therefore, adjustment will be required to your existing reports to enable those optimizations. Another new release is the dynamic team data being available to report on, so you can analyze how it's being used in your organization. You can report on data on the following table: the dynamic team, its members, their objective and statuses, the key result, comment, or contributor. Another new addition for the user of time event clock in, clock out that will allow you to generate report for this time event for a certain time period. To make those analysis more complete, this table can be linked with job information or user information and more. You can view the pairing status, the creation source, the reason for manual time event, the address of the clock in, and its approval status. So for example, you can report on the events awaiting approval in a certain region in the past week. Last release session, we announced a new table of career worksheets called Current and Target Roles, which offered an analysis of your workforce career development aspiration. In this release, we have a small but important update. To better protect the data privacy, SAP recommends to define a specific target population to the role that will use the permission to career development planning data access story. This target population will be the employees that the role will be able to view in the career worksheet of the report. Hopefully, this improves the protection of your data. To conclude, another update to a recently released the New Opportunity Marketplace table. They allow you to report on assignment, including details of the assignment, application of the employees, and the capabilities it requires. This was an important addition, as those data can give you insights to the assignment employee pursue and the skills that they will gain. To further the depth of your analysis, SAP added new fields: the assignment co-owner, the proposed start and end date, when and who last edited the assignment, the application comment, and finally the custom field added to the assignment. This is all for reporting. Thank you all for participating and hope you are as enthusiastic as me to see Story Report continue mature.
Great. Thank you very much, Sharon. So I'd like to thank all our presenters, as well as a big thank you to everyone that took the time to join us for today's webinar. We hope you found this session insightful and useful. We are following this session up with a second one focused specifically on learning, performance and goals, compensation management, and opportunity marketplace. If you would like to attend that session, please do so by clicking the link that we posted in the chat box. The recording of today's webinar will be made available shortly and distributed to all registrants. If you do have any questions or wish to have additional information, please feel free to reach out to us at info@aktglobal.com. And on that note, I would like to thank each and every one of you for your participation today. We hope to see you all again very soon. Have a lovely afternoon.